if someone is trying to sell you a product or a service that is detoxifying, there's a good chance that they're dishonest, ignorant, or possibly both. Hey, my name's Nick. Today, let's talk about some of the key words and phrases you should be wary of as you navigate the fitness and wellness industry. Some of these words are meaningless nonsense. Some of them are incorrectly applied, but they're all fancy, intelligent-sounding buzzwords that yoga teachers, fitness, wellness professionals like me use to trick people like you into jumping feet first into the latest shiny health fad. So let's pull back the curtain and look at why these words should send your bullshit detector tingling. Number one, tone, as in toned Michelle Obama arms. Anyone who's been shopping for dumbbells or for weights knows that you can typically expect to spend about $1 to $2 per pound on your weights. But how do you make more money by selling less material? Invent a new word. Tone is a nonsense word invented by the fitness industry to sell small weights to old ladies. It's supposed to mean something like making the muscles look tighter without making them look bigger, but the problem is that isn't something muscles can do. Muscles can change in one of two ways. They get bigger or they get smaller. The toned look the fitness industry is selling is the result of having some muscle and a little body fat. The way to get toned is by losing weight and keeping as much muscle as possible. So, to get toned, eat in a caloric deficit and do your resistance training at a difficulty where you're doing between 6 to 30 reps. So, yeah, those 2-pound weights might be the perfect size, but if you can move them up and down more than 30 times, you're not doing anything to get the toned Michelle Obama arms you're hoping for. Next, superfood. Superfood as in kale, goji berries, quinoa, broccoli, etc. This one is just more marketing nonsense that, as far as I can tell, just means nutritious. It could literally be applied to any minimally processed food you would find in the produce aisle. It's not that you shouldn't be eating superfoods. Eating a diet that's mostly plant-based with lean proteins and whole grains is good for you. Just don't pay extra for the kale or buy supplements just because it's got the superfood label attached to it. And speaking of things, the fitness and wellness folks want to convince you to put in your body detoxing and or cleansing juices, teas, smoothies, etc. I see this quite a bit in the weight loss community. Something like, this juice cleanse will detox the body and flush out the fat, or something to that effect. Fat is not a toxin, and the doctors, coaches, other health professionals pushing this kind of marketing language should know better. Detox is an emotionally charged word, and it is being targeted here at people who are already largely conditioned to believe that their body is bad and the body is toxic. These are basically just scams preying on people looking for an easy way out. There's no easy way to lose weight, but the steady, deliberate, mindful method is guaranteed to work. Losing weight is hard, but it doesn't need to be confusing. Sign up for the free Yoga of Weight Loss course, and we'll go step by step through the process of building a mindful weight loss program. If you follow the steps, it will be physically impossible to not see results. Follow the link in the description and start for free. Aside from erroneously applying detox to weight loss, detox is just one of those wellness buzzwords that's gotten out of hand. Yoga has a long tradition of spiritual purification practices called satkarmas, and there is nothing wrong with ritual cleansing practices that leave you feeling clean. Feeling clean is important. And if you go to a sweaty yoga class, sit in the sauna for hours, flush out your rectum with coffee, yeah, you'll feel something. And these might feel spiritually purifying, but it's important not to superimpose any medical or health claims onto the ritual purifications that are not backed up by science. Sweating. Sweating is not detoxing. Sweating is the body's method of keeping cool, not eliminating waste. Most animals don't even sweat. We sweat mostly water, some salt, yes, trace elements of heavy metals, but for the most part, the body eliminates toxins with the liver, the kidneys, the intestines, urinary tract, etc. And that brings us to the next detoxifying myth, that twisting or putting some other kind of mechanical pressure on the organs will squeeze them out like a sponge, flushing out all the bad stuff and letting fresh, new blood come in and improve their function. We have absolutely no evidence that this is the case, and honestly, it would be a total failure of evolution if it were. Having to squeeze the liver every night before going to bed to make sure it's clean. Yeah, thankfully, when functioning normally, the liver and other organs of elimination seem to work just fine without any squeezing or twisting. And it doesn't seem to make them work better, beyond the fact that exercise of any kind is generally good for the whole body. So if someone is trying to sell you a product or a service that is detoxifying, there's a good chance that they're dishonest, ignorant, or possibly both. That brings us to another buzzword we wellness pros like to throw around, and that is stimulate. Stimulate, that sounds scientific. That sounds like we're having an effect, like we're taking charge of our health and being responsible. This one is tricky because in certain cases, stimulate is an entirely correct word for your wellness coach or your yoga teacher to use. But in so many more other cases, it is a cue that whatever comes next is complete horsepucky. So I'm going to make this easy. In the world of fitness, yoga, nutrition, wellness, massage, etc., we stimulate whole systems. We can quite correctly speak about stimulating a parasympathetic response in the nervous system. For example, that's stimulating a relaxation recovery response for the body. Or we can stimulate, if you want to call it that, we can stimulate the lymphatic and immune system by exercising to keep lymph moving through the body. There are a whole lot of whole body effects that yoga, massage, exercise can have. And so long as that's what we're talking about, cool. But how I usually see stimulate used is to suggest that we can target specific organs like the pineal gland and the thyroid. Shoulder stand's supposed to be good because it stimulates the thyroid. This breathing exercise is supposed to be great because it stimulates the pineal gland. If someone is suggesting to you that this pose or that pose is good for the intestines or the gallbladder or whatever, it's nonsense. We don't stimulate specific parts of the body. The endocrine system doesn't respond to mechanical pressure, and thank God. We would be having hormonal shifts every time we bumped into something. Life would be a mess. The one exception, the part of the body your wellness, fitness professional can help you target are skeletal muscles. You can stimulate the legs, for example, by doing squats or lunges, and grow stronger leg muscles. Outside that, we really only stimulate whole system changes. And speaking of exercise, let's look at our last word for the day. Functional, as in functional exercise, functional movement, functional medicine, functional nutrition, functional dentistry. The idea here seems to be that if something is functional, it is more useful for everyday life because it addresses your needs. It's going to blend different dimensions of health and fitness together because life is multidimensional and you're an individual. In reality, things that are functional are basically just the same as their conventional counterpart, mixed in with a bunch of other random nonsense that you're going to pay extra for. Functional medicine is basically just a rebranding of holistic alternative medicine trying to pass itself off as more evidence-based. And it does include some of the same practices as conventional science-based medicine, but it also rolls with homeopathy, acupuncture, chiropractic, and other pseudosciences. A 2022 review of various types of functional training published in the Frontiers of Sports and Active Living found that there's not even an agreed upon term of what functional training is. You probably find yourself doing the same exercises that you would find in any training program. squats and push-ups as such. But you'll also be doing sled pushes and battle ropes and bicep curls while balancing on one leg, things that are both hard and I would argue a waste of time for most people. Here's the thing. Specific adaptation to imposed demands is real. You get better at doing the activities you train for. So sled pushes make sense for linebackers. It's functional for linebackers. Battle ropes make sense for boxers. It's functional for boxers. But the vast majority of people are going to get the most benefit from just training the basic movements: squatting, lunging, hinging, twisting, pushing, pulling, and walking or running. Pretty much anything you do is going to come down to some combination of these essential movements. And you don't need to spend extra money or time doing functional exercises unless you want to. So, if you're not sure where to get started, check out this series for a yoga sequence you can do with minimal equipment, zero equipment, right at home. All right, until next time, enjoy your practice.